What's going on, Brandon? How you doing? Let's see. Julius, welcome. GAMACHCH joined in. How you doing? Evolve Online dropped in. What's going on? James Tarner, BLAC. Players for Change. .org. What's going on, everybody? Getting everything set up for the live show. Happy to see everybody joining in. HALA joining in. Natasha already joining in there. Good to see you. Getting you going. Okay, so there we go. Let's hop into it. So I'm juiced for today for the conversation. So we already got Natasha joining in here, and I'll pick things up. Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. I'm excited for us to get into it and just get going. I wrote up an intro here so we could kick it off, so those who are joining in can have a little bit of context as to like what's going on today, what we'll be talking about, and then I just want us to get riffing and going into the flow of the show. So
I appreciate you having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Of course. Let me see what we got here. Okay, so hey, hello everybody. Thanks for joining in, and welcome to another episode of #IamTheDream, a live show brought to you by Black Players for Change that highlights voices in our community who are working to build and promote Black equity and ownership. BPC is an independent organization consisting of over 170 plus players, coaches, and staff of MLS. I'm your host for today, 12-year pro, MLS Cup champion, MLS Comeback Player of the Year, Black Players for Change founder, MSL coach, Quincy Amarikwa, right? And I'm extremely excited for today's episode as we'll be having an open conversation with Natasha Cloud, right? So I wanted to give a little bit of your history, and I'd love for you to fill in the gaps because I know there's way more to you than just you on the field. We're going to talk a lot about you off the field and what you're actively doing and working on. But for those who may or may not be aware, Natasha plays for the Washington Mystics of the Women's National Basketball Association. She was drafted in 2015 in the WNBA. She just recently won her first, I'm sure, of many championships here in 2019. One thing that I saw was a little bit of background on your coach. I'm Brenda at University of Maryland. She had stated, Brenda? Okay, yeah. She had stated that not only is she a very athletic and unselfish player who will do whatever her team needs to help win, she's a strong defensive player who can play either guard spot and is a terrific passer. Natasha has a ton of personality, which is what I'm excited to see here today, right? Is a good student and fits right in with our team. So I think that's kind of a little bit, I'm sure I'm
shout out for that. That was year one, and then I transferred back home to St. Joe's in West Philadelphia and played for Cindy Griffin and finished my career there. So St. Joe's was kind of the turning point in my career and in me becoming a pro.
Oh, I love that. See, already educating and schooling me right from the get-go. So this is gonna be good. I think the one that is kind of most notable, or I think has garnered the greatest attention, right, is when you sat out your WNBA season to pursue social justice work, right, and things that have kind of resulted from that. I'm sure that has been an experience in itself. I read one of your articles in terms of like how that experience was draining in different ways and in a process in it of its own. So yeah, please, what a little bit more, maybe more background as to how you would describe it, what you would like to focus in on, how you define yourself as an athlete or an activist, or have you moved on from that completely? Are you still in the middle of it? Like how would you define it for yourself?
So it's really crazy to me because there was a lot of people calling me an activist in 2019. And for me, it was simply just, I'm standing up for what I'm passionate about. I'm standing up for what I believe is right. And so that to me was the craziest thing, because I'm like, I'm just, you know, I'm Tasha, I'm a point guard for the Washington Mystics. Like, I didn't think that I would go into this world of activism, but I'm extremely blessed to be able to be a voice for the voiceless. I don't take that for granted in any sense, but it really came about in 2019. I gone to Henley Elementary School, and just to give you some context, that's a school in Southeast DC, which is where Arena is. And so I was just going to read kids, like just books, kindergarten kids books, and I was met with a librarian who had tears in her eyes and told me that in the month of June, 3 bullets had penetrated the building, and one in which the children were actually in the school and learning. And so for me, that was the moment that I really took on this role of being an advocate and stepping into the realm of activism and using my voice, using my platform, and understanding that by being silent and being kind of neutral, that I was part of the problem, and that by standing up, if I didn't speak up, I'd be doing a lot of disservice to a lot of people that look like me.
I love that. I love that because it's showing what standing up looks like, right? Like we all have made our own mistakes, or maybe we've been quiet when we reflect back on that and realize we shouldn't have been. But
Absolutely.
every moment you have an opportunity to stand up for something that you know is right. And I respect that a lot, because it takes a lot of courage to go into the unknown for something you just believe is the right thing to do, right? And I'm sure that by going down that path, you became aware of a lot of other systemic issues that you might not have otherwise been aware of, right? So yes.
So at that point, like, I was really focused on Everytown. It's a nonprofit. If you all haven't checked it out, check it out, because it's an amazing nonprofit that focuses on your right to bear arms, but sensible laws surrounding those guns, and especially when pertaining to our children in lower economic communities, making sure that they're protected. So at that point, I was really only into gun violence, and then that kind of led to some other things. And obviously, it sat out 2020 season, and with the killing of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and countless others say their name, it really shows you the big picture of how daunting it can be, because there's so many things to fix within our system that have been put in place to keep the white status quo and to keep Black and brown people out.
Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit, in terms of, it is a daunting task. It is a lot. It is overwhelming, but it's achievable. We can accomplish it. We can figure it out. We can understand it, and we can make it more equitable and access for everybody to have equal access to opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. So when first starting out in anything new, just like I'm sure, like if you think about in sports in your rookie season, there's right, it's a lot. You're all of a sudden you're back in your rookie season again. Things aren't as, you don't understand how the system works, how things go, what's good, what's bad, what's normal, what's not. For you, what do you focus in on to get through the daunting task that you saw standing in front of you?
So like you said, everything is changeable. That's where you find the hope, in that in these fights, we are going to slowly change things. We are going to slowly change these systems that were set in to see us fail. But one of the things that helped me most was, okay, what are some low-hanging fruits that are easily obtainable, that I can have immediate impact on, and we can really change some things. So I think when you look at it as a whole, it's like, oh, like this is a pretty big task. But when you take it in increments and you start slowly just kind of chipping away at it, it makes a world of a difference. And for me, my first thing is to always get educated, because I'm not perfect. You know, I'm gonna continue to learn through this process. I'm not gonna be perfect through it. But sitting down with the grassroots organizations that have devoted their time and their life to these issues, that's who I want to learn from first. And then how can I help y'all from what you've already done to now using my platform and amplifying your voices?
I love that. To me, that kind of, and something I work on, what resonates with me in terms of, like, you're not perfect, you're going to make mistakes along the way. That really hits for me, right? Because I'm someone who has to learn the hard way, right? Like through tough lessons. And one thing I've definitely learned is, okay, how do we make it more digestible, more not such a daunting task and
Yeah.
simple? And to me, what I hear from that is like, first step is just listen. You went
Mm-hmm.
to the ground, you sat down, and you just said, you know what? I'm here to learn. I'm here to understand. I'm here to listen. And from there, as I learn, I can amplify in ways in which I think I can make the best impact and make change. Um,
Absolutely. What would you say has been the hardest part for yourself diving into this kind of world of activism and trying to navigate through what issues, what you're passionate about, what issues kind of align with those passions, because it's all about alignment too. Like the intersectionality of who we identify as it makes it a lot easier to tack into issues. Like obviously we're Black. I'm a woman. I'm also bisexual. So there's a lot of things that I identify as that have been historically oppressed that I can easily speak on.
okay, that's a heavy question, and I appreciate that question. Right? Okay, it's good because the way in which I decided to approach it was one with saying, I think the thing that most people dislike most about discrimination in whatever form it comes in, right, is being pigeonholed into what someone has determined you are or are capable of before you step into the room, right? Whether that's your, you know, your sexuality, your demographics, your level of education, your socioeconomic background. Like the main thing is saying, I don't want to have a glass ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I don't want to prevent the person who I might eventually become from having opportunity just because I can only see what I see in front of me here right now. Okay?
Absolutely love that.
All right. And we can tend to make that mistake because when we're reflecting on our lives, it's only hindsight data.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that means that who we were to get here isn't who we need to be to get where we want to go.
Yeah.
And if we get too focused in on what we want right now based on whatever injustices we feel we've experienced or we know we have, that might prevent us from seeing bigger picture as to what we can be, because we can be beyond what we can even envision for ourselves in this moment right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Because
I
we're
go
changing,
ahead.
we're growing and changing, and you know, the growth of ourselves is super important to these fights. So I couldn't agree with you more on that.
Yeah, and the thing that what resonated with me even quickly here, this is our first time interacting, right? Just first time meeting you. I like your personality. I like your approach to it, right? Uh-huh.
Up over here.
Well, I think the thing is to get to I talk about it a lot with my mentorship programs and talking with, you know, guys and girls and on the side with things. It's saying like, look, mistakes are part of the process. People who reach professional level, reach championship level, those types of things where other people outside and say, oh, that's success. They did it because they made a whole lot of mistakes to learn along the way.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. And I guess that's what I can see in terms of just even your willingness here right now to be like, hey, I'm making mistakes. I know I am. I can acknowledge them. And if as time goes on, I learn and realize through listening that there's other ways or better ways or more inclusive, you're open to that. And I think that's what people don't get a chance to see in these backdoor conversations that happen, especially in the professional sports world, that dictate and determine the futures of pro players, right, on the field.
Absolutely. Like I think in as a professional athlete, it's a really scary thing to step up and stand out and speak up because there's so many other things that are going on in our worlds that we feel that we protect too. So, you know, in 2019, I finally was like, you know what, I'm tired of being, you know, just kind of on the fence about things. Like I want to be 2 feet in 100%. For that, I was like, what if this affects my job? What if this affects endorsements, sponsorships? This is how I provide for my family. But then getting to a point and comfortable in who I am and loving myself completely, it's like I can no longer have those fears because, again, I'm doing a disservice to a lot of people that look like me. I have this God-given platform. I have this voice, and I can amplify it for the people that need it most. And so it's okay to kind of sort through those emotions. Like, those emotions are valid. Those feelings are correct, because we all know from being professional athletes, it's a very cutthroat business. And as much fun and as much as we love this game, at the end of the day, it can be extremely cutthroat. So it's okay to navigate through those, but understand the power of your voice. Understand that there's a lot of good people, a lot of good organizations out here that are willing to be a part of the fight and alongside you during this fight. And I definitely have that in DC.
I love that. So, man, we could take it so many different directions, but I'd like to maybe dig into that a little bit in terms of how have you navigated learning how to lean on the expertise of others with so many new things, right? So to your point that professional sports is very cutthroat, right? Mm-hmm. We love the game, we enjoy the game, but once money's involved, there's a whole nother aspect to it, right? And in a time like this, it can also be difficult to know how to know what's authentic, what's genuine, and what's just opportunism, right? Like corporations trying to just jump in on the hype train. You know what I mean? Like, those are things you also have to be mindful of. How did you sort through that? Like, who did you lean on? Where are you? Are you still working on that? Like how have you found the balance of trusting while also not being taken advantage of, which is what I feel a lot of people are weary of.
Yeah, it's a very thin line. Like, it's really hard to navigate because, especially in these spaces that we're not extremely comfortable with it. Like, for me, with the activism and depending on grassroots organization, I'm putting my full trust into y'all because I need help, and I acknowledge that I need help. But for me, I try to keep everything family-like. I know it's a business, but everything, whether it's my agent, whether it's my circle, whether it's Converse, whether it's the Mystics, everything has to feel like family to me. And I think that's a good start when you can, surround yourself with good people, with good intentions, that you feel that you can trust. It makes a world of a difference for not only your career, but also into this realm of activism as well. So you got to kind of try to vet people out. It's okay to say no. That's one thing that I've learned through this process, because I want to please everybody. I want to try to help everybody, but there's only so much of myself that I can give without draining myself out. So it is okay to say no. And it is okay to draw lines and ask questions early. Like, if I'm going to work with a grassroots organization, I want to know, okay, we're doing this now, but what are your future plans? Because it can't just be a moment thing where, oh, this happened, so we need to put a statement out, or we need to throw an event. That to me is very bullshit. And I'm sorry for cursing, but I don't like that. So what are you doing moving forward that is going to benefit this demographic or this cause or this issue? So don't be afraid to ask questions and put people on the spot, because there should be, especially for businesses, there should be plans moving forward, like drawn out for the next 6 months type of thing.
I love that. So for me, the takeaways on that was, one was, oh no, that's what you pack it. You're packing a lot into this, and I like that. No, it's amazing. It's really good.
Tosh, girl.
No, it's perfect because you're speaking my language, right? I love it. For me, it's
family. Like, for me, that's the most important part. Is everything has to feel like family. Surround yourself with good people with the same morals, the same values. You're gonna know if you mess with someone or not. It's plain and simple, and it's okay. So that was the first thing for me.
Got you. Because I'm taking it all in, and I'm liking it. Because for me, it's just saying, one, it's okay to say no. So, like, takeaways for people, it's like, I think the things where it can be overwhelming, like all of this, it's a lot, it's information, it's processing, it's in the moment. So even hear me, like, I'm going, like, I'm learning. I don't know everything. Okay, what's your experience? How do we network? How do we help each other? How do we elevate? We might not be in the same sports world, right? But there's lessons you've learned and I've learned, and we can exchange information and lessons learned. But our people also need to see what that looks like, right?
Yeah.
We might be in rooms where we're taken advantage of because we don't understand what's going on. And when you say it's got to feel like family, well, sometimes family dynamics, cultural dynamics are different between worlds.
Yes.
Right? So understanding that is also part of the process that many people who look like us have never seen, right? So we might be scared to talk money. We might be scared to talk emotions. We might be scared to talk fears and planning for the future, especially if you haven't even been planning for the future. A lot of people don't speak up, like, well, I don't know. And I think it's really important to create that space where it's okay to not know. And with what you're sharing right here, it's really it's speaking to that, to me, in terms of, all right, there's a pattern to learning, there's a pattern to success, and we want to teach and share that with anyone who's willing to listen, because they want to see people thrive. There's enough for everybody. So those are my thoughts and takeaways just from you sharing, and I appreciate that. It's very insightful, and it makes me self-reflect a lot on the process and in just where I'm at, right? So I appreciate it.
Something that you spoke on is that, in the family thing, like, it can be different for everyone. And so in that is the beautiful thing, is the way that you approach your activism might not be the way I approach my activism, but both are necessary and both are excuse me, and both are impactful. But like you said, we might be in different sports worlds. We might be in different, organizations that we belong to or we believe in, but there's something that we can learn from each other. And so there are takeaways even from this conversation that I'll take into my future endeavors, that I'll be like, I never thought to address it as this way or this way, but this worked. And so this, can speak volumes to other people. So I think it's a collective thing. And as far as the sports world, I feel like for far too long, we've been separated, when in reality, while we all have our differences and there's so much diversity, there's beauty in that diversity, but there's power in combining our platforms and amplifying one central voice of all of us. And that's something beautiful I found over the summer too, whether it was with my NBA counterparts or the women's soccer. I'm rocking a Red Stars jersey right now. But just really reaching out to different athletes, and we all feel the same thing. So why not use our platforms and combine them together?
I agree with that completely. Speaking of NWSL, so have you already been linked and connected? You've connected with BWPC, so the Black Women's Players Collective?
Absolutely. I actually had the pleasure of talking with them pretty early when they were trying to kickstart it. And it was really cool for me to see of just other powerful Black women deciding to step up and speak out and trying to, okay, well, UNW, what are y'all doing? And me being able to give them that information, and then they take it, and how they do it is how they do it. So it was really cool to just, again, have a safe space of people that look like me too, that understand the traumas that we were going through at the time. It was just in the wake of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. So all those traumas and all those emotions were extremely real. So to be in a space with women who understand that, it was actually like really therapeutic too at the same time.
I love that. I guess I love the transparency. I love the openness, right? Like the vulnerability and being okay with that and confident in that, And I think I'm looking at the people who've been joining in. A lot of people are spamming that heart button. Ashley saying, "You're beautiful, Tasha," with heart eyes.
Appreciate
Roosevelt, I love you.
I see a lot of fans on here, honestly.
That's amazing. You got a lot of advocates and supporters and fans. It's great to see. You got PG uh, uh,
My
Pete,
God.
yeah, Paul. So you know Paul, yeah?
I do. I've done a few, like podcasts and stuff with him. He's a really good dude.
Yeah. So Paul's been the general manager of Perfect Soccer, my soccer company, for years now, and he's been the host of the Perfect Soccer podcast. So like
Look
the
at this small world. I didn't know that.
yeah, the world's getting real small, and yeah, I've been working with Paul for a couple years now, so that's been amazing. You had spoken you'd spoke about, well, you'd already been connected with the NWSL, but we got connected through Players Coalition, right?
Yeah.
So kind of what's your relationship been like with them? What's been valuable about that relationship for you? And are there other organizations that you've been working with as well over time that we're not aware of, that you would recommend us getting plugged in with? Like, yeah, basically just creating opportunities so people are more aware of like all the options and things that are available to them.
Yeah. So Players Coalition was, they've been for me. When I tell you that I learned most of, like, I'm educated by them every time that I get on the phone. And I was a fangirl at first because obviously Malcolm Jenkins was one of the starters of it. He was an Eagle for years. I'm a Philly girl, so I had his jersey already hung in my closet. I absolutely loved him. So we actually had the pleasure of speaking with him personally, as the Washington Mystics and the Washington Wizards, our social change or our social change council that we have. And from there, I wanted to learn more about the coalition, so I had reached out. And from there, they kind of put me at the head of the WNBA. And so I'm really proud to be a part of their coalition because the work that they are doing is it's world changing. I mean, the impact that they have, the impact that these men have, and using their platforms, combining it and educating, and then reaching out and bringing other people in. I mean, it's a really special coalition. And so that's how I even got on this with you, was through their connection. So utilizing them, their resources. There was a time where, I did a fundraiser, and I don't have my own nonprofit yet. So I was able to kind of put the money with them and trusting them to then allocate it to the right places. So they've been huge. The Social Change Fund, if you guys haven't checked it out, Chris Paul, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, they have been huge for me as well. Really, really good guys stepping up and bringing our chairs to the table. Chris Paul has been huge for me during this kind of sitting out and navigating through the activism realm. Obviously, he's one of the main faces of the NBA, but he's a really just down-to-earth guy, willing to lend his resources and really just help kind of pull me along the way. So that's been really cool. Kyrie stepped up huge for us in the summer when I first sat out, making sure that players that did sit out were taken care of, and then also offering the entire WNBA a financial literacy course. So there's just been really, really good people and really good organizations that have really stepped up during this time that I don't know if I would be able to do the work that I'm doing without them. So it's been really special to be a part of them.
I love that. It sounds like you've been doing a lot of work, a lot of growth, a lot of learning, and you've had a great team there helping support you along the way. And I'm sure many people will be able to go do more research on their own and see a lot of the services and the education that's available through all this. I'm seeing even more your willingness to shout out those who've helped you along the way. That's, you know what I mean? It's awesome to see. So Chris had said, thank you guys for fighting and standing up. Justin Morrow dropped in and said, appreciate you, Tasha. Very inspiring, exclamation point. J268 had said, my inspiration, role model. And then Sweetie had said, very inspiring and nice and beautiful, Natasha. I really love you and appreciate what you do and what you say, because all I hear is good words from you. So I'm loving that. There's just a lot of positivity, a lot of positive energy. I know you'd said 2021 is about Black joy, right? And
it is.
Okay. I want to be mindful of your time because I know that like I'm learning as well too with myself. I can just keep going and going, right? I
I had locked off, so you tell me when you
okay.
when you need to go.
Okay, so to be honest, we can go as long as you want to, right? So, but is there so no, because this is where I was thinking about it. My main thing is saying, like, I think you've shared a lot of insight, a lot of amazing messages and support. Is there anything that you feel we should touch on that we haven't? Are there ideas or questions, things for the audience, feedback you're looking for? What are you in need of right now? Like, how can I be of help? How can BPC be of help? Is there any connections or resources or ideas, or is that making sense? Like, how can we best help? How can people on here best help you? Like, what does that look like?
Absolutely. I appreciate you for asking that question, because I would love to work with y'all further, because I think the work that you guys are doing is phenomenal. I mean, I remember sitting here in the summer and seeing you guys stand around the soccer field and standing together in solidarity. And for me, that was extremely beautiful, especially during the time that it was in. It was, again, it was traumatic. There were so many different emotions, but to see such a powerful display of strength and power and solidarity, it brings you that hope again. So I would love to work with y'all in whatever facet that you guys need me. Again, combining different leagues together, combining different platforms, I think is huge. But to like the viewers too, I think the most important thing is you don't have to have a huge platform to have impact. One of the things that I took away, Chris Paul actually got us on a call with Michelle Obama, and I love me some Michelle Obama. Okay, I love the Obama in general, but so I was hyped. But I really took away what she said. It's like, you don't need to have tens of millions of followers to have impact. You can simply bring in your mom, your dad, your cousin, your friend, and slowly start changing their perspective of how the world works and what is actually happening at these times. And having those hard dialogues that need to be had, calling out, if you're in school, calling out, discrimination, calling out racism as it is. I think there's little things that we can do within our day to make this world a better place. And I know that, but to me, it's really simple. Like, if you're a genuine good person and you just treat everybody the way you want to be treated, then we're going to do some things. You know what I mean? Like, it can be that simple.
Yeah, it can. I think I talk about it on one of my other my soccer podcasts, right? Is in the soccer world, and it's saying it's hard to do the simple things well, right? But the game is simple at the end of the day. We can make it complex because we want to rationalize and justify why this is okay, and it's okay when I do it, but not okay when they do it, or vice versa. You know what I mean? It's the blame game instead of just personal responsibility, is what I'm hearing from what you're saying. Like, look, whether you have 1 million followers or 1 follower, you're responsible for the actions you take. You can speak up or not speak up. That's your choice. That's your power. So you always have power. You're always in control. And I think speaking that truth is powerful. And when starting out, it can create a lot of powerfully negative experiences. Yes. But hope that you can get through that. And once you do, it makes you almost wonder what you were scared of in the first place and why you were silent, why you were quiet. And I'm downloading and processing everything that you're sharing and your perspective, and I appreciate it. It's very insightful. It's thoughtful. It's humble, and it's still inspiring. It feels like there's still a lot of work to be done. There's a positive energy around it. It doesn't seem like the 2020 was a very difficult time for many, and I'm sure a lot are still going through difficult times. What's that kind of North Star to you? How do you what keeps you motivated even when you're not motivated?
Cool. It has been really hard, and especially as an athlete, I found it really hard with sitting out to be motivated to even just work out, even just pick up a basketball. But for me, something that's always kept me kind of those down in my life and my career has been know your why. So know why you're doing what you're doing, know who you're doing it for. And when you know those two things, there's nothing that can get in the way of your success, of you persevering, of you. For me, my why has always been my family. So there is nothing that's going to get in the way of me providing for my family and making sure that mine is okay. And so I know that. And so I embrace that and I live it out every day. Even when I wake up and I don't want to go to workouts, I'm like, I got to grind for my family. So get your butt up, put your clothes on, go get your shoes, get in the car. You can warm it up. There's some coffee on, you know what I mean? Like, but it's something that consistently will bring you back and kind of keep you, like I said, 10 toes down. And both in my career and in my life, that's always been the same thing.
I love that. No, that's okay. What's that tatted on you? What's it say?
Know your why.
Oh, know your why. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That'll be that's the like the subtitle of today's episode, right? I am the dream. Know your why.
Your why.
I've enjoyed it. They're saying so proud of you, so proud of the human that you are. I'm excited because I'd love to connect with you here more in the future, see ways in which we can see what you've got going on, and then how we can continue to push that and amplify that and plug you in with individuals who resonate with your message. And I think as time goes on, more and more people will, because it's a positive one, it's a powerful one, and it's very inspiring. So was there anything else you wanted to share? Where could people follow you? A website? I know you said you don't have your nonprofit yet. Any insight as to what the plan is or what people could be on the lookout for?
Follow me on T_Cloud9. My website is coming soon. I'm like very behind the eight ball on this stuff, but I'm getting there. We're gonna have a nonprofit, but stay tuned. There's a lot of good stuff that's coming in the future that I'm really excited for, especially with my partnership with Converse. So make sure that y'all are staying tuned. And that's another point, is make sure even the companies and the brands that y'all are buying and spending your money on align with your morals and values and with where you are, because that's extremely important. Who's going to ride for you? Who's actually showing up and showing out?
No, I love that. That'll definitely be something I'd love to talk with you more about in depth, future episodes. Like now we're future planning, right? Future Black ownership conversations. I like. Hey, you're gonna mess around, and we're gonna have a whole new series and show that we're gonna be doing here moving forward.
Okay. Well, I was just saying I appreciate you. Thank you for what you do in our community. It's impactful. It's important, and it's necessary. And we see you.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and we'll speak here soon.
All right. See y'all.
Bye.